Welcome everybody to the last session of this year, and then we'll restart sometime early next year. I'm not sure when yet, but I'll put a message out because I'm off work the first 2 weeks of January. It gets a bit interesting in February because I'm on jury service, but I'll probably be able to do most of my work in the boring bits and or in the nights and things. But I'll keep you posted. Welcome, and welcome to those online. Any questions on things, put them on the live chat. The topic today, if you're joining us for the first time ever, we like to think about God, but not just in a way of head knowledge, but ways that warm our hearts. Perhaps you don't know the living God yet, and this class will be beneficial to you. True theology is we love Jesus and let's pass that on. That's the aim of all the things we learn. There's teas and coffees. You just walk up and help yourself. And the final topic of this year, as we follow this course here, is Satan defeated. Baby Jesus is on his way in a couple of weeks. Or less than that now, is it? Oh no, yeah. 11 days, is it? And we're going to look at why he came. What's one of the main reasons he came. But just thinking about like Satan at the moment, I don't know if you've got a view on Satan, whether you think he's real or the spirit world is real. I actually had an argument with Rita today about this sort of thing. Right. I think most of the culture at the moment is not atheistic, as in rejectors of the spirit world. I think most people are agnostic, take it or leave it, never really thought about it, but are very superstitious. Whereas my wife was saying, no, they're more now deliberately atheistic. But I don't think the stats back that up really. I think most people that you and I meet believe probably some spiritual thing. Probably think if there is a heaven, they're on their way there. Good enough. What do you think about that? Who's right, me or Rita? Rita thinks there's a generally now positive disbelief or unbelief. But I even looked it up, and that's only about 8% actually. Do you agree? You agree with Rita? You just saying that, Phil.
Just don't care.
Yeah, agnostic. That's most people. I think that's now.
People like to try and contact their dead loved ones. I've got a lot of colleagues who
Oh yeah.
like spiritists and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
I think Britain is. Yep, fortune tellers, very popular. It's something like 47% now are non-religious, don't affiliate with a religion, but they're actually really spiritual. Like whenever I take funerals, they want a prayer in there, even if they're not Christians. It's just like hedging your bets type thing. I think we're still around that area. I even said to Rita, I don't recommend this, men. The facts don't care about your feelings. You ever said that to Kathy? This is the fact. 8% are atheistic. The rest, I think, are agnostic, spiritual. So I don't know where you are on the spectrum. The culture is fascinated by aliens, witchcraft, the paranormal, the supernatural, ghost hunting, Eastern mysticism, gems, pearls, feng shui, fortune tellers, connecting with loved ones that have died, breathing techniques to enter the spiritual realm, calm yourself. Out-of-body experiences, I think. And so I think there probably is people that really do believe in the spirit world. Maybe they don't name it as Satan or him as Satan, but definitely spirits. I think quite a lot of people. So this is quite important, this one tonight. And at Christmas time, one of the reasons baby Jesus came. Can someone just read John 3:17? Often overlooked because of its predecessor, John 3:16. But someone just read out John 3:17.
not sent his Son into the world to condemn the world, but to save the world through him.
Baby Jesus is on his way to save the world, but he saves by destroying. Like a doctor that might amputate a gangrenous leg. Save the body, destroy the gangrene. Now, can somebody read 1 John 3 verse 8 as we think about one of the chief reasons the Lord Jesus has come?
Because the devil has been sinning from the beginning. The reason the Son of God appeared was to destroy the devil's work.
The reason the Son of God appeared was to destroy the works of the devil. Get rid of the gangrene, save the world. And Christmas is a celebration of God's eternal Son arriving to destroy the works of Satan. Okay? And tonight, I want us to grasp for this last session, what is the work of Satan? Chiefly that baby Jesus has come into the world to destroy. And for us to promote the positive message and to love it, that Jesus is victor over Satan. But we got to learn, what does that actually mean? Have you heard the Screw Tape Letters, C.S. Lewis? That's a good one, isn't it? I think it's Screw Tape, he says to Wormwood. That's his little nephew, isn't it? Wormwood. A moderate religion is good for us. It's as good as no religion at all, and it's more amusing. So we don't want to just be moderately religious about this topic of Jesus coming into the world. Devils find that quite funny. We achieve nothing. I want us to really grasp how wonderful it is tonight that the works that Satan's been defeated. So, who's Satan? Take a minute, scribble something down, or talk to the person next to you, or do neither. It's up to you. What comes into your mind when you think of Satan? And I'll see you in 1 minute. Chat, if you want to put anything down on YouTube, get involved. I'll feed the student. Where's the biscuits? Oh, he's got them over there already. Delaying it. "30 seconds. Ten seconds. All right, welcome back, everyone. Thank you, Ben, for doing the thingy. Right, Satan. Anything spring to mind? Doesn't matter if you're right or wrong. The enemy of God, right? A fallen angel. Sorry, Lucifer. Lucifer, yeah, you in Isaiah over there or something, are you? Oh yeah, well, we'll do that one in a minute, yeah. A spirit. Interesting. An angelic being, possibly, or once was. Took a third of the angels in a fall. Anything else? Proud. Well, you know those how some people start well and end bad. That is Satan, the ultimate good start, bad end, because he was once an anointed cherub. Started well. Please turn to Genesis chapter 3. So right near the beginning. If you get there, could you call out the page number for people like me who can't find anything? Five. Have a little read of Genesis chapter 3, verses 1 to 5. Just take 30 seconds. Okay? Genesis 3, 1 to 5. Now, it's quite ominous that the first properly recorded conversation by creatures on earth is between the serpent and Eve when Satan questioned the words of the living God. And Genesis 3, 1 to 5. Before you have any recorded conversations between Adam and Eve, we have this terrible conversation that uses language to undermine the Word who made and defined and explained all things. Okay? So where are we? Does anyone know the scene here? The G of E? Garden of Eden. And this is important because there can be no excuses of bad environment or bad upbringing to mitigate the sin of Adam and Eve, because never has a couple had so much in their favor to not sin. No mother-in-law, says David. Just for the record, my mother-in-law is a delight. But this sort of dispels the myth of modern culture about the nature of evil, that it's someone else's fault all the time. Blame someone else. Of course, maybe that's the case sometimes, but here there's no excuse, no extenuating circumstances. And that's the first record there. Now then, let's make this more interesting. Please turn to Hosea chapter 6. Right, let's flick forward. You just go forward from Genesis, as you might imagine, and just keep going forwards. You'll probably get to around page 904 in the red Bibles. Hosea chapter 6. 904 in the red Bibles. Not often talked about, this one, with the fall. So please take 1 minute to read Hosea chapter 6, verses 4 to 6, and possibly 7. 4 to 7. And then I'm just going to ask you what's going on. Or how does that sort of shed light on Genesis 3? Thank you, Ben. 1 minute. All right, 10 seconds. Right, welcome back, everybody. Can you just sum up what's going on in Hosea 6, 4 to 7, and why did Owen ask us to read it? Any ideas? Defiance towards God. From who? Israelites. Oh, what have I done here? Have I done something wrong? Oh. Oh, yeah, no, it's mainly 7 I want you to think about, but with the backing of 4, 5, and 6, and 7.
Well, like Adam, maybe disagree.
Yeah. Yeah, so according to Hosea, what was Adam's sin? Yeah, he broke the covenant. And what's the essence, like the wonderful gifts and promises of the Lord? What's the essence of sin? Not trusting the promises of the character of the Lord. That's surely the essence of all sin. And it's interesting when the Holy Spirit convicts the world, not just Israel, when he comes, he will prove the world to be wrong about sin, righteousness, and judgment. About sin, because people do not believe in me. So that's the work of the Spirit, as with Adam, as with Israel. So Adam seems to be a promise breaker right back in that Genesis account. But the thrust tonight is how did they come to not trust the Lord? What is the work of Satan that maybe Jesus arrives to defeat? Okay? Now then, I'm going to ask you a question, and I hope I'm then going to try and convince you that it's wrong, because my whole argument tonight rests on me being right when I say you're wrong, if indeed what you say is wrong. Can you take 1 minute and have a think about an angelic rebellion, which perhaps leads to Genesis 3. You may have heard, because it's quite common at the moment, to think about Satan and like a rebellion. That's all I'm going to say, and now I just want you to think. And if you don't have a clue what I'm talking about, don't worry about it. I'll see you back in 1 minute. I've probably confused you, but I'm trying not to give too much away. Here's the question is this. What do I mean by angelic rebellion involving Satan? What pops in your mind? I'll see you in 1 minute. Oh, all the coffee's gone. All right? Yeah, I put him by you. So 30 seconds, what does Owen mean when he asks us to think about these words, angelic rebellion? If you've been around the Christian world at all, you've probably heard a certain narrative about Satan. But, you know, you've got 20 seconds, so. All right, welcome back, everybody. So my aim tonight is to try and really single out the work of Satan that he does that Jesus has undone. Don't lose track of that. I'll try not to. And then I said something about a rebellion. And now I want to ask you, what comes to mind when Owen says the words, a rebellion involving Satan? Jonah looked at me and looked away because he didn't want me to ask him. A challenge of God. Tried to usurp God's position. A war in heaven. Took of the third of the angels. Let's get more specific to try and draw out the thing that I think is not necessarily true. What about the timing of that event?
space and time as we know it. So heaven is different. So
What's an eternity?
Right, took place in eternity, says groups over here. Yes, Ben? Yes. I'll just repeat that for the people at home. Is Owen trying to draw out that Satan fell before man did? Owen says yes, because that's a very common narrative at the moment. But Ben says, how could that be if he beholds everything and is very good?
And the world with the disobedience of Adam. But if the serpent was already there was already sin in the world.
Sin entered the world with the sin of Adam, but if the serpent was already there, had it already entered the world? Because evil was there before, or was it? Okay, I see what you're doing. Okay.
The Lord God said to the serpent, because you have done this, cursed are you. Then pronouncing a curse on him rather than
Before.
it's like Satan wants to bring man into sin with him.
Yeah. Ben says the curse is pronounced after the fall in Genesis with Adam and Eve. So he's not cursed before. There's a book somewhere by John Lennox. He makes the case that everything around the garden had fallen already. That's a whopper of a subject, and I'm not going down that one tonight. Yeah, he does that, yeah. So it's become at the moment very common to speak as if the first sin was committed by Satan in an angelic rebellion that occurred long before the arrival of Adam and Eve. Okay? You might have heard this. We believe that he was created perfect as a cherub called Lucifer in the original creation, and because of pride, he rebelled against God and became the author of sin. After the recreation of heaven and earth, he appeared as an angel of light to Eve in the Garden of Eden and tempted her willfully to disobey God's command, resulting in the fall of man. We believe then he was cursed and then henceforth referred to the serpent, or as the serpent or the dragon. All right? That's common. Something big happened before Adam and Eve, and then they entered into it. But it's something big had already happened. Right. Okay, I'm not convinced. And the reason I'm not convinced links to my main point tonight on what's the work that Jesus has destroyed of Satan. I'm not convinced because I think that's like church talk rather than necessarily from the Bible. It's just something we say. So, please now turn to one of the main passages of the night, which is Ezekiel, which Koan's way ahead of us with. Ezekiel chapter 28. Now, that is page 858 in the red books, Ezekiel 28. And I'll say a bit, and then I'm going to ask you to read a bit. In Ezekiel 28, if you're unfamiliar with this passage, the first 10 verses are seemingly addressed to a human ruler of Tyre, T-Y-R-E. Everything that's said of him fits with a human king. However, from verse 11, another figure is addressed called the King of Tyre. And these words really don't fit any human being. So please now take 2 minutes to read 28 verses 11 to 19. And the question I got for you as you skim through it is, what'd you learn? And we'll be back in a bit. Or who's this remind you of? That sort of thing. So in about a minute, we'll draw it in. I'm just going to say, anything strike you? Who does it remind you of? Hold on. "30 seconds. Okay, welcome back, everybody, as you've skimmed Ezekiel 28, 11 to 19. And my question is, who does it remind you of? Or what's going on? Or anything strike you? Anyone want to call anything out? Don't have to.
Be referring to Satan. But there are parts of it that, seem to be contradictory from other parts of Scripture
Mm.
in relation
Mm.
to, like, referring to actually.
Yep. Yep. You got Revelation 9 and 12 in mind. Right, anyone else? So possibly Satan there.
Most beautiful of the angels.
Yeah, we'll do Isaiah 14 in a bit. Sorry, Netflix.
That fits with the stone.
That fits, yeah, that fits. In this one, this person was in the garden. Blameless in all his ways. Verse 13, he was in the garden, clothed with every kind of precious stone. Verse 14, his job was to be a guardian cherub, presumably looking after Adam and Eve. Has he? Presumably looking after Adam and Eve, he had access to the holy mount of God, the place of the Father's dwelling. Verse 15, he was created blameless. The reason for his sin cannot be found in a design fault, but nevertheless wickedness was found in him because, verse 16, he got up to some business that was sinful and was expelled from the mountain of God, exiled from the fiery stones, which, by the way, is probably the stars of the second heavens. So you remember our first, second, third heaven talk. It's online if you want to rewatch it. Verses 17 to 19, as Diane said, seem to indicate that Satan's biggest problem had been pride. Instead of his heart overflowing with gratitude for all that he had been given in creation, Satan made himself proud. Because of his pride, his wisdom became corrupt. And the case I'm going to try and make is the moment when wickedness was found in him was in Genesis chapter 3, verse 14. Can someone reread that one out loud, please? Genesis 3:14. And then I'm going to quote Jesus in a bit, which I think backs me up again. Genesis 3:14 in a loud voice.
Because you have done this, cursed are you above all livestock and above all beasts of the field. On your belly you shall go, and dust you shall eat all the days of your life.
There's just something significant, as Ben said, because you have done this. That seems to be a significant moment. Now, before we get to Jesus, the incarnate Jesus, we're going to read Isaiah chapter 14. So can someone find Isaiah chapter 14 and call out the number? When you get there, there's a contents page at the start. 699. This is the groundwork before we hammer all the point home. 699. So when you get to Isaiah 14, please read 4 to 14. Isaiah 14, 4 to 14. And I'll check back in with you in about 2 minutes. One minute. Okay. Welcome back, everyone. Isaiah 14, 4 to 14. Did you learn anything? Fire, rapid fire. Lots of reminiscences of Satan. Yeah, that Babylon's in there. And Babylon is used in quite layered ways throughout the scriptures.
Heaven, morning star, son of dawn, cast down to earth.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Here we get his name Lucifer. Have you got that in your versions? You don't? Oh. I don't know. I don't read the NIV. And that's the only one I got here. Hold on. Let me have a look. It's NIV, man. It's going to cost me one of these days, big time. Here we go. I don't even know. I'm way off with this Bible. I haven't got one.
Said in your heart, I will ascend to heaven. I will raise my throne above the stars of God. King James Version says, "How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning."
Thank you, King James Version. Always trusty King James, apart from the ARS tense in Romans chapter 6. NIV throwing us. Well done, Jonah. So in Isaiah 14, 4 to 14, you get the name Lucifer, if you got a decent Bible. No, the NIV is good. I like it in parts, sometimes. Just on that, actually, the 70s NIV is good. There's a most recent one which is terrible, really bad. So if you do an NIV, try and get 70s and 80s, post 2000. Good luck. Yeah. Anyway, and verse 14 reminds us of the way Lucifer speaks to Eve. Just read 14 out aloud. Have you got it there, Jeff? Isaiah 14, 14. Remember, he's told her she can be like the Lord. Yeah.
I'll ascend above the tops of the clouds. I'll make myself like the Most High.
Yeah. Do you see? You can be like you can ascend. Incidentally, in this Isaiah passage, he's been giving a long prophecy against the nation and empire of Babylon. And then in 14 verse 4, someone read that one out, please. Loud voice.
How the oppressors come to an end, how his fury begins.
Then he takes up a taunt against the evil power behind the Babylonian Empire, Satan, which is picked up in Revelation as well. What's interesting is, though, the detail of Satan's sin. The Lord taunts Satan about what he did. You said in your heart, I will ascend to heaven, and I will raise my throne above the stars of God. I will sit enthroned on the Mount of Assembly, on the utmost heights of the sacred mountain. I will ascend above the tops of the clouds. I will make myself like the Most High. That's where you get pride from, that Satan's proud. Said it of his own volition, and that is exactly what he tempts Eve with. That's his thing. You can be like God. You will not surely die, said the serpent to the woman, for God knows that when you eat of it, your eyes will be opened and you will be like God, knowing good and evil. See his motives? And then, just making this case, here's Jesus. Phil, have you got John chapter 8, verse 44 there that you could read in a nice loud voice, please? John 8:44 for your note makers. This is a clincher for me. John 8:44.
You belong to your father, the devil, and you want to carry out your father's desire. He was a murderer from the beginning, not holding to the truth, for there is no truth in him. When he lies, he speaks his native language, for he is a liar and the father of lies.
Here, Jesus describes Satan as a liar and a murderer from the beginning. If his initial sin had been some kind of heavenly rebellion before the creation of the world, then he would have been a rebel or a proud malcontent from the beginning. But Jesus singles out his lying and murdering as his initial sins when he lied to Eve and murdered the human race. And for those multiple reasons, I'm not convinced of a prehistorical cosmic fall. Welcome. Have a seat. There's biscuits around there. So I'm not convinced of some fall. I think humanity and the devil fell together in a joint rebellion. We joined with Satan in giving birth to sin, and the Lord left humanity and Lucifer to decide together what they would do. Now then, the world today reflects the sin of Satan, which I'm going to really press what that was in a bit. In 1 John 5 verse 19 it says, the world lies under the power and darkness of Satan, the evil one. So he's the prince of darkness. Do you know any names of Satan, which will also help us tap into what his chief sin is? You know of any names? Adversary, yes. Adversary of who? Yeah, God and humanity. Sorry, what was yours?
Deceiver.
Deceiver, yeah. Accuser, yeah. Father of lies and murderer of souls. Apollyon means destroyer. And in the Genesis story, who did he destroy? People. People. Any other names spring to mind? Leviathan, yeah. I think so, yeah. Although modern versions, like English ones, say hippo now instead. What is happening? The evil hippo of the deep. Yeah, is that what the one for it? What? Crocodile. Beelzebub. Mephistopheles, or is that in Faust? Dr. Faustus, that one, is it? Yeah. Beelzebub, Belial, serpent, enemy, evil one, father of lies, prince of demons, tempter, Lucifer, Satan, the dragon, the son of the morning, Diablos, sorry? Prince of darkness and the prince of this world. That's John 12 and 2 Corinthians 4.
Antichrist?
Antichrist. Yeah, I don't know about that one, Nick. Well, yes, in an obvious way, but also that seems to be reserved for whatever you think the Antichrist is. But the spirit of Antichrist is of Satan, obviously, yeah. Tempter, yeah. Okay, so he lies. And he lied in Genesis 3. That's what he's known for to Jesus. That's my point. I think sometimes we fester around some cosmic rebellion before the Genesis thing. Park that a minute. What does Jesus say the work of Satan is? Liar, murderer of people. Liar. Liar. Murderer of people. Adversary. How does Satan lie to people today if the world is under the spirit of Satan? What's the lie that non-Christians tonight are buying into, which is the work that Jesus came to destroy? If he is a liar and a murderer, in what ways is he lying to loved ones of ours that don't know God tonight? And this is where the rubber hits the road, because Christmas is coming and we have a destroyer of the lie and the defeater of the liar. So what does that actually look like? Take 2 minutes and have a think about what the kingdom of Satan and this lie is that people are buying into. 2 minutes and we'll come back. I'll bring a biscuit to the newcomer. He must be hungry. You can have 2 if you want. No. It's good to see you. One minute. Ten seconds. Okay, welcome back everyone. Incidentally, extra reading, Luke 10, 18, Jesus says he saw Satan fall like lightning from heaven. Revelation 9 and 12, that's where you get the third fell with him. Revelation 12 verse 4 and 9. I think it's there. Revelation 9 verse 1. That's background. I'm always having to give background because I've only got a little bit of time left. But all of the answers you were giving are right, and I'm just backing them up now with the references if you didn't know them. Okay, so in what way then is there a lie that people are buying into? Like, because, we're going to be, 120 on Sunday for Christmas? And what? Is there 3 million people in Wales? We're 120. So people aren't buying people don't think it matters, do they, really? They're under a lie that this isn't important. What does it look like? What is it? Hello, Ben.
You always twist the truth. So you twist what God said to Adam. You twist what it brings God's own words, Jesus, in the wilderness, and twists it in him. So he's saying, did God really say? It's like saying, no, God is not telling you the truth. Twist what God said all the time.
Yeah, I'll sum it up for the people at home. He twists what God said. And that's the Genesis thing. He says, did God really say? He's calling God a liar. He's the liar. Did he really say? But what does that look like? Anyone want to develop what Ben said, or anything to share? Yeah, is it really God? Yeah, you don't believe that.
I think he does exactly that. And I'm saying very wrong. I think he does it by twisting something that we all have dealing with, and that's Father Christmas.
Oh, right. Do I need to mute this?
I'll say it quite well anyway. FC.
Oh, yeah.
Because so many families have brought their kids up to believe in FC, and then one day they turn around and say, no, FC is a story. It was make-believe. We're FC, right? The devil takes that and says exactly what you just said about the Christmas story. Remember FC? That was a story. This is a story.
Yeah.
And of course, the consequences of that are far more powerful because he's undermined the credibility that you have because you told me it was true.
Right, I'll sum that up. He undermines the credibility of true stories and truth. Yep. Yeah, you can have a good life without God, just summing it up. And that is definitely what people in the King Coyd area think, because they got everything. What do I need him for? I'm having the good life. Yeah.
Isn't it? He's saying you can be your own God, basically.
In the garden, the serpent said, eat this fruit and you will know, you will be like God. And in fact, it's like giving Eve permission to feel as important as God. And it's like all the advertising that we watch on television, because we're worth it. Put yourself first and all of that. And it is. And I think it arises from that fall in the garden. That kind of God, the serpent.
That's idolatry.
Yeah.
Did God really say, you can ascend yourself? Did he really say? Yeah.
You don't have sin.
Yeah. Yeah, and then he says, of course you won't die. God is trying to selfishly keep superiority over you, but you can be like him. You don't need him. You can be like him. Yeah. Yeah, probably. Definitely, I think the chief lie is, just to sum up what you're all saying, that Satan's kingdom is freedom. God's kingdom is slavery. So you do that one. That stems from everything. I think his way seems to be this. Every person has a bait. Satan puts on the hook. But he baits you away from God, who's an oppressor. That's the lie. If you bow the knee to Jesus, you will be less than what you are now. Why would you do that? So this is the point. As with Eve, he doesn't make you do things you hate. He helps you do the things you love, but that are bad and will take you from God. The things that are wrong and eventually become addicting and enslaving. So with Eve and himself ascending, he will give you what you want as long as he gets to be your king. Stay in my world here. That's the lie. That king is bad, he'll say. I give you everything you want. Sex with anyone you like, do it. Earn all the money you want in any way you want. I'll give that to you. Drink as much as you want, eat as much as you want, disobey your parents, all fine. But, according to the account today, it's all a lie. And then the fall, and he's called Diablos, slanderer, murderer. And the two greatest lies that he told that this baby has come to undo at Christmas is the lie about who God is and the lie about who we are. If he can get you to disbelieve those two things as he did with Eve in the garden, he's got you. And I often meet people who say I'm hopeless in every way and I'm beyond redemption. It's a lie. I've messed my life up so badly. I've sinned so many times in this one way. There is no hope for me. That's a lie about who God is and about who you are. And so many people harm themselves and shed their own blood because they don't believe that God's blood has been shed for them and that they don't need to atone for the sins because it's all been done in Jesus. And you can get people to forget that and just handle everything yourself. That's the lie about who God is, and it's a lie about who you are. And if someone was on your lawn outside your house shouting those types of things at you, you're hopeless and there's no real hope for you ever and you've gone too far, you'd kick them off your lawn. You'd ring the police. But with Satan, so many people invite him in and they fester on this hopeless horizontal life where they think they're disconnected from God. That's the lie. It's a lie about who God is and about who we are. And we're celebrating a baby who comes down to the lowest, and everybody listening tonight to undo that lie, that there is hope for everybody, especially if you've been wasting your lives with sex and drugs and rock and roll and living for yourself. He comes for us, so there's hope for us all. The very last point, I had loads, but time has gone again, is that his body now, this baby on earth, is church. So what's the main thing that shouldn't be in church as we've been taken from the kingdom of Satan and darkness into the kingdom of light? What should church not have in it in any way, shape, or form? Lies. Lies. Satan is a liar and a murderer. So church is the place where we don't lie about who we are. We don't lie about who God is. We don't murder each other. We love each other and walk in light together. There's always hope where there's truth and Jesus. And I had a bajillion verses about how church is the light of the world and hope and how we can walk and have a mind like Christ. But we've run out of time. So I'll sum up with this. Oh no, let someone read out 1 Corinthians 2:16, because it's a great one. I had all the ones about greater is he that is in you than he that's in the world. 1 Corinthians 2:16 it should be. I had loads of verses about Satan being defeated. I tell you what, let's just end with reading some verses. Diane, can you read John 3 verse 8? You do Corinthians. Can someone over here get 1 John 3 verse 8 to read out in a minute? Ben, can you do John 12:31? Go home and read all of Ephesians 1 and Colossians 1. Jeff, can you read 1 Corinthians 15:24 to 26? And when you're ready, so let's have 1 Corinthians 2, whatever I get, 16 to Diane. Just in a loud voice. We'll end on reading it out loud. "16 should be right, possibly wrong. One, 2, 16, I think. Yep. Shall I read it? For who has known the mind of the Lord so as to instruct him? But we, the church, have the mind of Christ, who was the destroyer of lies. And lies, not lives, the destroyer of lies and murder. Remember, he says to people, you've murdered people in your heart. But we now have the mind of Christ that we're to fight for in church. Right, who else I give a verse to? 1 John 3 verse 8.
He who does what is sinful is not the devil, because the devil has been sinning from the beginning. The reason the Son of God appeared was to destroy the devil's work.
Done. Defeated. Incidentally, the last enemy in the Bible is called death. It's not Satan. He's done for. Curtains. Kaput. Who else I give a verse to? Ben. Yep. Cast out. Out. Done. No more lies and murders in the kingdom of Jesus. And you then, was it, Jeff?
Yes, 1 Corinthians 15:24.
To 26.
Then the end will come when he hands over the kingdom to God, Father, after he has destroyed all dominion, authority, and power. For he must reign until he has put all enemies under his feet. The last enemy to be destroyed is death.
So I'll end with this because it's 8 o'clock. Fight every day to have the mind of Christ in you. Don't buy the lies. Don't spread lies, whatever those lies look like. And do not murder people. And this place will be a place of light and life and hope. And people will come out of the darkness who are under the lie and join the Jesus that's defeated the liar. So in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.